Hey y'all, Kentucky Farmer here, and welcome back to the 8th episode in this FS17 Courseplay tutorial series. In this episode, we are going to talk about overloader mode. As you can see, we've got a semi, we've got a combine, and we've got a tractor with an overloader. And we've got this field behind us here that's ready to harvest. So let's go ahead and get all this equipment set up. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get our harvester started. So we're over here at the southwest corner of field 20. And for this, we're just going to go ahead and hire a worker for this example. So there we go, our combine's starting off in the field. And now the next thing we're going to want to do is set up our truck. Alright, so we've got our truck over here. And the truck and the overloader will both need to be running Courseplay for this to work. Technically, you could run the overloader and then you could drive the truck yourself, that's fine. But in this example, we're going to go ahead and use Courseplay on the semi as well. And it will be running in grain transport mode, which is something that we covered in number 6, the 6th video in this tutorial. So we want to pick this pre-recorded course that I made. And this is just a normal grain transport mode course. It simply starts right here and runs around to the main farm where it offloads and then comes back around over that little bridge over there and then back down here. So all I'm going to do is kind of back up a couple waypoints here, and then I will put this in grain transport, and then we will select nearest waypoint and drive course. And then this will just drive up here to the end of the course. And now it's going to stop here at the, actually stops at the first waypoint. And will wait now until it's full before driving its course. So now the next thing we can do is go ahead and set up the overloader. So as you can see, I've got the overloader in the field here, and I'm a good distance away from the semi. And there's a couple reasons why I do this, but we'll go ahead and open up Courseplay here, and we'll hit Start Course Recording. And then we're going to keep driving here in a straight line until we get to a couple waypoints. There we go. And now I'm going to pull off the field and get kind of lined up to the truck. And now I'm going to try and just parallel the truck for a while. And we'll pull until our auger is over the truck. And now we need to put a wait point. And then we're going to keep driving. And we are going to pull back onto the field. And we'll pull forward a little bit further. And then go ahead and stop. And then I'm going to save this course as overload. And then I can move that overload course up into my field 20 folder. Now all we need to do is put this in overloader mode. We're going to back up a little bit here, and then we'll go ahead and say nearest waypoint, drive course. Now as you can see, our combine is full and ready to be offloaded, so this tractor is going to go ahead and drive over there and unload it. So let me explain a little bit of why I set up that course the way I did while this is unloading. When you start and end your course on the field, you can do automatic search. If you start and end your course off of the field, you'll need to manually specify what combine you want the overloader to go and empty from. The other reason why I make the course that long is because if you dive in at the last minute towards the truck, sometimes when Courseplay is running that overloader course, it will sense that truck as traffic and it will prevent it from running the course. And this way it tends to not have that issue. The other advantage with running longer courses like this is It helps in the event that you have a really big field and you want to run multiple overloaders. And they'll have room for them to wait at either side of the course. Alright, so we've got the first bit there, and a new feature in Courseplay is the tractor will actually shut itself off to save on gas while it's being loaded and while it's waiting. Now that the combine's out of the way, the tractor's going to drive out of the crop and it will park here and wait again for the combine to request it to be offloaded. If you check the settings here, you can see that we actually do have pathfinding activated. So you'll notice that that time it actually drove in the crop to go unload it. And I talked about this in the last video, but with pathfinding, it's important to remember that it will try and unload the combine while the spout is facing the harvested side of the field. But if the combine gets 100% full and the spout is facing the crop, then the tractor will go and unload it. If we check our combine mode settings here, you can see that it is set to start at 50%. And so if we hop into our combine, we can watch, and when this gets up to 50%, it should call the overloader to come empty it out. Alright, so you can see we've hit 50% and now the tractor with the overloader is coming to unload us. It's actually pretty good timing because by the time it catches up to us we should be pretty close to being done with this row. And this again is a good example of how pathfinding works. We'll be able to empty with the overloader in the harvested part of the field rather than having it drive in the crop. Alright, now we'll hop back over into the tractor running the overloader. Alright, so as you can see, we're actually 78% full. And we don't quite have enough room to unload the combine a second time. But we're also not 90% full, so the overloader will wait until it's requested again. And so to go ahead and get this to unload after the second time it unloads the harvester, we can go ahead and dial this setting down, and we'll just do 70%. And as you can see now, it started driving, and it's going to drive down here to the second waypoint at the beginning. And then once it intercepts that point, it will then follow the course to head back and unload into our semi. Alright, so as you can see, it's reached the overloading point. So now it will empty off into the semi. And now that it's empty, it's going to drive back out into the field. So it'll wait here until the combine is either 50% full or the pipe is facing into the harvested side of the field. So let's jump over in the combine and see how it looks. Alright, so as you can see, we are over 50% full, but it's not going to come unload us yet, because pathfinding is enabled. Once this combine makes its turn and starts heading back north in the field, that's when the overloader will come to empty the combine. Alright, as you can see, our tractor with the overloader is now heading down towards the combine. And this time, since we're not at the end of the field, and because the overloader got here before the semi was 100% full, Courseplay will actually drive alongside the combine so that it can continue harvesting while it's offloading. What's happening here is Courseplay is instructing the overloader to get behind the path of where the combine just was before allowing the combine to continue on harvesting, and this way it can ensure that it's not going to be in the way of the semi and you shouldn't have any traffic issues. Alright, and now I'm just going to hop back over into the overloader and we'll follow along as this continues harvesting the field. Alright, and now that our overloader is mostly full here, at least, over 70%, it's going to go ahead and run the course to unload into the semi. Switch over to the semi and we can kind of watch the overloader come in from this perspective. Alright, so seeing as how we don't quite have enough room in the semi for one more full overloader, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to dial the drive on setting down from 90 to 80%. And now you can see our semi has started up, and it will go ahead and drive this course. And again, we already covered how to do this sort of course in the grain transport mode video, but we'll go ahead and follow the semi while it goes and unloads and comes back here. I also kind of briefly discussed this in the combine mode video. One of the nice things about doing this with an overloader is that if you have a field that's relatively far away from your farm, in this example we're actually pretty close, but if you had a field that was far away from the farm, it's handy to use an overloader because our overloader can actually go empty our combine 2 times without needing to come empty into the semi now. So it buys us time for our semi to go back to the farm, unload, and then come back to the field. And again, this is all being, see, there you go. So our combine needs to be unloaded. It's at 80% full already. And this course is all being done by Courseplay. I'm not driving the semi. In fact, I can even hop out and we can watch the semi come up here and unload. Okay, so our semi has completed its first course. As you can see, we're still harvesting in the field over here. It looks like our overloader has emptied the combine once so far. One thing I forgot to change and mention is once you start, see, we're moving farther and farther away from the combine, and so it's going to become more important that our overloader is able to get from the combine to the semi and back again in a reasonable amount of time. And so I'm actually going to dial up my field speed. I'm gonna we'll do 18 miles an hour. That should be fine. That will allow the overloader to catch up to the combine faster when it's called and to make it to the semi and back quicker. Okay, so there you have it. That is how to use overloader mode in Courseplay. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, would you please give it a thumbs up? That helps a lot. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more farming simulator videos. I'm Kentucky Farmer. Thanks for watching.